Hi friends, this is Mainak Misra and welcome back to my channel. Today I will discuss with you Jean-Pierre Jeunet's evergreen film Amelie. Jean-Pierre Jeunet's whimsical romantic comedy film Amelie, one of the most beautiful films ever made. In this film, filmmaker Jeunet creates a fake romanticized Paris which may not be real but beautiful, colorful, charming, amusing, stylish, and overall lovely. A whimsical, lonely waitress returns a man's childhood memorabilia items, and the sheer joy on his face makes her take a vow to bring happiness for others. And in the process of making others happy, she falls in love with a young, handsome man named Nino and finally gets Nino in her life. Emily spreads positivity not only in France but all over the world. This is not a film to be understood by brain but felt through heart. Now let's discuss the story. Emily is born in June 1974 in Montmartre, Paris, to idiosyncratic parents who wrongly believe that she has heart problem. And because of that, they don't send her to school, instead teach her at home. Because of that, loneliness engulfs her since childhood. She creates her own fantasy world and develops whimsical personality. And what happened? Her lonely, whimsical world gets a big jolt when a Canadian tourist commits suicide by jumping off the Notre Dame and onto her mother, killing her instantly on the spot. Her father goes into intense depression and encloses his social circles. Emily becomes more and more lonely and gets a job as a waitress in Café des Deux Moulins in Montmartre, Paris. She spends her free time by dipping her fingers in grain sack, breaking the hardened layer of creme brulee, and skipping stones across Canal Saint Martin. A television bulletin regarding Princess Diana's tragic demise in an accident gives her a big shock, and the lid of a perfume bottle falls off her hand, dislodging a wall tile. And inside that wall hole, she discovers a metal box full of childhood memorabilia items of a little boy who used to stay there decades earlier. Emily decides to return that metal box to its owner, and if it utterly pleases him, then she will dedicate her life in bringing happiness for others. She starts searching for the owner of that box and starts asking the old residents of her building. After asking a few old residents, she asks another old resident, Raymond Dufile, who is a painter and has been suffering from brittle bone disease, and because of that he is referred to as the glass man, and he has replicated French impressionist painter Renoir's 1881 painting The Luncheon of the Boating Party 20 times. He recollects the boy's name as Dominique Breteau. Without being seen or revealing her identity, Emily returns that box to Breteau. Countless childhood memories bring tears in Breteau's eyes. The abundance of happiness makes him take a vow to reconcile with his estranged daughter and meet his grandson. Emily continues bringing happiness for others. She helps a blind man to reach the nearest metro station and describes him the surrounding area while walking swiftly. She inspires her father to fulfill his dream of traveling this world by stealing his garden gnome and giving it to her flight attendant friend, who sends her the photographs of the garden gnome in multiple world famous landmarks. Emily starts a sweet and sour romance between eccentric cafe regular Joseph and Georgette, who works there and has been suffering from hypochondria. Emily writes a reconciliatory letter to concierge Madeline Wallace in the name of her husband who left her long back. And the emotions on her face makes her pardon her husband and kiss his photograph. Emily punishes a nasty vegetable shop owner named Collington by making his apartment messy because he humiliates his meek associate Lucien every day and almost always. And then she meets and falls in love with a young handsome man named Nino, who has a bizarre hobby of collecting discarded photographs from passport photo booths. Accidentally, Nino loses his photo folder, and after a few hide and seek, Emily returns that folder to Nino without being seen or revealing her identity. Painter Raymond Dufile inspires Emily to pursue Nino further. Emily arranges a meeting with Nino but gets tensed at the last moment and can't meet him. But finally, she gets Nino in her life. They spend a romantic night together, and a new romantic journey starts for Emily. So, this is the story. Emily comes out of this selfish world and creates her own fantasy world where her heart is always filled with the noble intention of doing good for others. She cannot be described by mere practicalities. Her world stretches beyond the boundaries of worldly pleasures and happiness. Doing something good for others becomes her only motto in life. And what we give comes back to us. So, in the process of finding happiness for others, Emily finds love for herself. She falls in love with a young, handsome man named Nino. When the world was mourning the despicable terrorist attack at the World Trade Center, Emily spread positivity and romantic fragrance not only in France but all over the world. And the world fell in love with Emily instantly, immensely. And the same phenomenon is seen even today, 22 years after the film's release. Filmmaker Jean-Pierre Jeunet was always filled with multiple stories, mostly inspired by his own life. So when he came to Paris way back in 1974, his notebooks were full of stories. So Emily is none other than the female version of Jeunet himself. Emily skipping stones across Canal Saint Martin, Nino having that bizarre hobby of collecting photographs. Emily's skipping stone is directly inspired by Junet's own life. And Nino's bizarre hobby of collecting discarded photographs from passport photo booths is the story of Junet's friend. Out of all these stories, a whimsical, lonely girl bringing happiness for others becomes the central theme of the film. However, opening up one's life to the entire world is not an easy job. So, filmmaker Jeunet took some time before making this deeply personal film. Based on his stories, Mr. Laurent wrote the screenplay, and the screenplay is whimsical, fantastic, romantic, full of comedy, and overall extremely elaborative. Filmmaker Jeunet is very articulative and structured filmmaker. He likes to shoot in studio system in a completely controlled environment. But for Emily, he shot over 80 locations in and around Paris. So it was not an easy job. But Jean-Pierre Jeunet is different from French New Wave filmmakers. French New Wave films are rooted in reality, but Junet's films are based on fantasy imaginations. Viewers in France generally like films that are rooted in reality, but this is an exception. Emily is an exception. For this film, they loved Junet's fake romanticized Paris and its heroine Emily. They patiently waited for Emily's innocent, sweet, mischievous endeavors. Initially, Mr. Jeunet wanted to take Emily Watson as Emily, to play the character of Emily, but her French was not that strong and she has schedule problems. So because of that, she declined the offer. Initially, Jeunet got depressed, and Audrey Tautou was the first actress to give audition for the film, and he immediately knew that he got his heroine, and his eyes were filled with tears. Audrey Tautou became the global sensation overnight. Her bob cut hair was instant hit all over the world. Emily has ensemble cast and all the actors play their characters emotionally and efficiently. They are amusing and a treat to watch on the screen. Now regarding cinematography, it has a brilliant cinematography. Filmmaker Jeunet was inspired by red, brown, yellow, green color palettes used in his paintings by Brazilian painter Juarez Machado, and Mr. Jeunet wanted to use the same color palettes in his film Amelie as well. So that's why it's a landmark film and one of the most beautiful films ever made. It has central framing. The frames are balanced and symmetrical. It's a very fast camera movements, and the cinematography is done by none other than brilliant cinematographer Bruno Delbonnel, and he used 18 and 25 millimeter lenses, wide angle lenses to establish the background. Emily has multiple iconic shots. The last scene when Emily and Nino driving means riding the bike, Emily retrieving Nino's photo folder, Emily skipping stone across Canal Saint Martin. So the releasing the golden fish. The releasing the golden fish actually is directly inspired by uh, Mr. Junet's own life. So the film has multiple iconic shots, and Mr. Bruno Delbonnel has done a brilliant job in the film. Initially, Jean-Pierre Jeunet wanted Michael Nyman to compose the music, but his production assistant gave him a CD of Ian Tiersen and introduced him to his music, which is based on piano and accordion. And Mr. Jeunet immediately fell in love with that fantastic music. He asked Ian Tiersen to compose the music of Emily, and within a few weeks, he composed the music, which included a few existing tracks of Ian Tiersen. And it is so important and incredible part that when the work in progress version was submitted to Cannes Film Festival, it was rejected. And later on, festival president Gilles Jacob cited the reason that they could not review the film, they could not really analyze because music was absent in the work in progress version. So you can imagine music is such an important and incredible part of Emily. And apart from cinematography, Harvey Snee did a brilliant job in editing. Editing made the film extremely dynamic, fast moving, and multidimensional. Production design is brilliant. Uh, Mr. Jeunet, filmmaker Jeunet himself is deeply passionate about production design, so there is no surprise that Emily has excellent production design. All the parts like the wallpapers, furniture, everything is absolutely stylish and brilliant. It brings elegance on the screen. Emily was nominated for 5 Academy Awards at the 74th Academy Awards. It received widespread critical acclaim. It was nominated for 9 BAFTA awards, winning 2 for Best Production Design and Best Original Screenplay. It was also nominated for Best Foreign Language Film at the 59th Golden Globe Awards, and BAFTA Awards is 55th BAFTA Awards. And critics, general audiences, viewers, they all loved these films since the release of this film. So I hope that you have seen this film. You cannot miss this beautiful film, one of the most beautiful and landmark film in cinema history. So please watch this film, and if you have any comment, put it down below. The request goes again that please subscribe to my channel. Please press the bell icon so that you do not miss regular updates. And until I make the next video, thank you so much for watching. Thank you and bye.